Hey guys, Preston here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're doing the post-game reaction to the Steelers vs. Ravens. 7-0, baby. 7-0. Beyond stressful, like always. I screamed multiple times. This was yet again a tale of two halves, but this time, the opposite. So last game against the Titans, I think most people knew. I mentioned in my video too. We had a great first half and an awful second half. This time, we did the opposite. We had a pretty bad first half. We were down 17-7 at halftime, and then we outscored them 21-7 in the second half to win the game, 28-24, in a very stressful ordeal. But hey, win's a win. We showed a lot of grit today. I mean, held our own. We made Lamar Jackson look bad again. I guess shout out to the defense for they have the ability. They do make Lamar make some bad decisions. I mean, the two times he's played us, he's thrown multiple interceptions. They've been sacked multiple times each time. So it's a good trend to have. There's still negative stuff to look at. We'll get into, especially more of the first half. Obviously, like I said, we were bad in the first half, good in the second half. Some mistakes in that second half, but we'll kind of dive into that. Trying to think. So first half wise, it's a mess. Obviously, I have to look at the pros and cons as a whole, and when you play better in the second half, you can be more positive. It's a little more negative after that Titans game because, well, the most recent film we put out was that bad second half. But first half-wise, it was abysmal to say the least. It started out amazing. The first drive for the Ravens was a pick six to Devin Bush's backup, Robert Spillane, who's had a pretty solid couple games with us so far. Good depth piece right there. So kind of flew under the radar with us for a while. Depth with a huge depth. I think I said that right. Depth was a huge concern. This sounds weird. I'm losing my mind. Was a huge concern to a lot of people coming in with this inside linebacker room, but it appears like they've kind of proven they can hold their own now. So either way, the first interception of Lamar's two was a pick six to Robert Spillane. So we started up 7-0 early, and it was fantastic. The next drive, the Ravens kind of methodically moved down the field, ran wherever they wanted to, and, well, they got carried. We shut them down at the start of that drive, but pretty bull crap roughing, I think it was roughing the passer or unnecessary roughness call on the Steelers because Lamar Jackson decided to stop by the sideline. Now, he wasn't out of bounds. He was right by it. He stopped. Like, he came to a full stop, got pushed, and they called that roughing or something dumb like that, which was ridiculous. I've already seen people on Twitter crying about, Ravens fans crying about the refs. I'm like, dude, the refs are bad for both sides, and you know it. I mean, that call is just one of the examples. A lot of, inconsistent calling for sure, a lot of dumb calls. It's just nothing new, I guess. It seems like every game we're in has bad refs, but I'm sure that's the same for every team. I just noticed the Steelers ones because I watch them all. But regardless of stuff like that, they did score that drive, set up pretty nice. As a good drive for them. And then the momentum kind of got away from us. We were actually lucky that we were only down 10 going into halftime. I will say it was relatively impressive. The defense kind of did a bend, don't break for a little bit in that second half, after that touchdown. They were moving the ball really well on us, which is rather unfortunate. The run game, we got to go back to the drawing board when it comes to stopping the run because we 100% failed to do that today. I think we had our first 100-yard rusher allowed this year today, plus one that ran for 87, and Lamar had 65. So that's over 200 yards of rushing on us, which hasn't happened. I think it's something on Twitter says the most rushing yards we've given up in a game in like years, like decades maybe. So not great on that end. We got a lot to work on. You can't let a rookie running back and J.K. Dobbins average almost 8 yards per carry on you. That's just unacceptable. You can't do that. But when turnovers mattered, we got them. We forced 5 turnovers. 5. Let's see. 3 fumbles lost by Lamar Jackson and 2 interceptions. So that's 5 turnovers our defense forced right there. I want to see, quick checking the turnover battle here. Let's see. Ben didn't throw any picks, which was beautiful. Way to turn it around from last game. Obviously didn't put up crazy numbers. Still threw 32 times, less than 200 yards passing, but he didn't throw interceptions, so that's huge, like always. And we did fumble. Who fumbled? Bleacher Report's being weird because we definitely did fumble at least once with Chase Claypool. That was a turnover, and that was a fumble right there that the Ravens forced. And they also... Sorry, guys, I'm doing this kind of on the spur of a moment. So they had 2 forced fumbles, allegedly. But I'm guessing we got back on one or something. I might have missed that one first fumble. Either way, even if you count both, we still have forced 3 more turnovers in the Ravens, which in games like this, those are huge. Huge plays by there. The ball security for Lamar was not there. Like I said, we have a knack now. We do pretty good against Lamar. We make him look human. So let's hope we continue that trend. And the next time we play him, that Thanksgiving matchup should still be a huge game. We build ourselves a little cushion with the lead for the division now, which is always nice. But the way Pittsburgh plays, there's a trap game in there somewhere we might lose. We should be favored in literally every game we have left, except, the toughest game left will be Baltimore again at home on Thanksgiving. But the Ravens also have a super easy schedule, so that Thanksgiving game might still be important, is all I'm going to say for now. And obviously, we can't slip up. 7-0 is beautiful. We have a trap game next week, which I will preview. If we better beat the Cowboys. That's all I'm saying. I don't want another, when we lost to the Raiders and crap. We can't do that crap anymore, man. Either way, that's looking ahead and getting mad for no reason. We won. We're 7-0. I'm happy about it. I actually am. It was an intense game, to say the least. Another down-to-the-wire kind of games, which I felt like we had a bunch of them last year. Haven't really had too many this year, literally last second kind of plays that happened today. So like I said, we held them more than I would have thought in that first half. Their run game killed us today. That's not a lie. That's something we got to look at, because we were shutting down every other team's running game, and the Ravens, they figured it out on us, and they smashed us in the mouth repeatedly, ran us over, ran our guys over. And it was almost too much to overcome. Luckily that we made some adjustments at halftime. That third quarter, we actually shut down the run pretty well. We were able to get some points off on the board. But that fourth quarter, the last couple drives, when they got super close again, they were running the ball very effectively, to say the least. Let's go with this. We'll talk about some of the big plays. There's impact plays in this game, obviously. The interceptions were huge. I already told you one went directly for a touchdown. The only points we scored in the first half. Offense did literally nothing in the first half, which they were probably the most impressive turnaround, because they scored 21 in the second half. Nice to see by them boys. But yeah, no points from the offense first half. Our only touchdown came off the Roberts Blaine interception, which was huge. The next pick he threw of the 2 was actually to a linebacker. Again, no corners or safeties got picks, which I want to see them kind of get more stuff going from them. They still had issues today, especially in zones. We keep getting picked apart in zones. It's like they can't figure out who's supposed to guard who, and we leave people wide freaking open all the time. But our rookie outside linebacker, Alex Highsmith, came up clutch with a beautiful pick where he jumped up, extended his arms, got it down, put us in the red zone, led to was it a Claypool or Ebron touchdown? One of those touchdowns. Beautiful play. Took the momentum back right into us and kind of built us back on track to win this game. So that was huge. Those picks that Lamar threw were obviously huge. They both resulted in points for us. And he fumbled twice in the red zone. I think the last fumble in the red zone, though, was literally that 4th and 2 play, which is obviously, that's the biggest play of the game. We did well on offense. We got our points. We were getting back in the game. We had the lead. But the Ravens were driving. It was 4th and 2. Obviously, they took too long to drive down the field. They ran the ball a lot, and it worked for them, of course. But that coming with running the ball means you chew clock. That you don't always want to do. So they had to go for it on 4th and 2 in the red zone, and we stopped Lamar just short. And the boy Spillane, again, I believe, is the one who forced the fumble, or at least recovered it. And that meant another turnover for Lamar. But the ball was going to be ours anyways, because he was short on 4th down. Still a nice play regardless. That was the biggest play of the game, obviously. Sealed the deal for us, made sure they couldn't pound it in. Being the Steelers, though, of course, all we needed was one first down to win the game, seal it. We didn't get it. On 3rd and 2, we ran for -1 yards. And we had to punt it to them, which gave them 50 seconds, no timeouts, of course, which helped to score again and win. And they got close. Another messed up zone play. I'm not sure what keeps happening, but I think it was the Ball State kid. He's not a kid anymore. I'm sorry, guys. I'm losing my mind. Snead was wide open in the middle of the field. We got all the way down to our 20, but luckily for us, on the final play of the game, the pass was broken up. Almost picked by Minka Fitzpatrick, and the wide receiver who was up in the air for it also got whacked by whoever else was with Minka. So great way to end the game. Super stressful, like I said. Came down to the last play. Good pass breakup by Minka to seal it, and we walk away with a W. So let's just focus in on some of these stats. Already mentioned Big Ben, 21 for 3,282 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did get sacked twice. The pressure did get there a couple times a day. But it was kind of to be expected with this Ravens D-line that is pretty legit, similar to ours. And they also blitz as much, if not more than we do. So not super surprising that they got the Ben a couple times. But overall, very solid game. Finished with a 101.3 passer rating. That's what you love to see. The run game was pretty much non-existent today. 15 attempts and 47 yards for the boy James Conner, but 18 of those 47 came off one good run. Did get the touchdown, so, fantasy owners, he got 12 points, so that's not horrible. But wasn't fantastic. Definitely couldn't get the run game going. That's really what kind of hurt us in the beginning of the game. That first half, we were really committed to the run. I think the coordinator and the team finally realized, hey, the run game's not working, but they keep giving us these little pass routes. Let's take them, and that's kind of what led to us scoring more in the second half. We did not really run the ball much at all on our 3 scoring drives in the second half. Receiving-wise, another spread-out game, kind of like always. No one super stood out. Unfortunately, I think Deontay Johnson was banged up again. I'm not sure how much of the game he played. I didn't see him a lot because the ball didn't go his way too much. He was definitely banged up a little bit, and I think they put Peters or someone on him and he got locked down, if we're being honest. But it's kind of what happens with this team. We've said this a bunch of times already. If you shut down one guy, the other guys will get open. They kind of shut down Deontay, but it's okay because Juju, Ebron, and Claypool stepped up today. This is probably Eric Ebron's best game. No fumbles. The only drop was a ball that Big Ben threw low, and Ebron went to catch it, and it literally boinked right off his kneecap and flew back. And then Ebron almost fell, falling backwards for 10 yards after that ball bounced off his knee. So that was only incompletion. So he caught 4 of the 5 targets for 48 yards and a touchdown. Good to see from Ebron. Didn't fumble the ball either. Ball security is something we've been worried about, especially against a Ravens team that is known for prying the ball free. They did get a fumble off of Chase Claypool, the rookie, but he made up for it with decent play later on, made some good plays to keep drives alive for us in that second half. He had 5 receptions for 42 yards and a touchdown. 9 targets, but some of those were just not even close. A lot of overthrows by Ben today, which isn't fantastic. But hey, it happens. We still got the win, so I'm not going to be super picky. And Juju, I think the second week in a row, was our leading receiver in terms of yardage. Didn't get a touchdown again, but he caught 7 of his 8 targets, which, I love that percentage right there, for 67 yards. Don't remember him dropping anything, so that's fantastic. And he came up clutch in the end, too, like I said. James Conner, had 3 catches for 13 yards. Ray McLeod had a big, I think that was a first down on a third down pickup we needed to keep the game alive on his 1 catch for 6 yards. That was his only target, too, so he caught that. Deontay had 1 catch for 6 yards, too, on 3 targets. Like I said, he got a mix of his hamstring being reactivated and kind of just being locked down today. Happens. James Washington only got 1 target, so he's still not seeing the field much at all. He's kind of like the odd man out at this point. It's going to be interesting to see what we do with him. But for now, hey, it's fine. I'm good. That's a good depth piece to have right there. And Jalen Samuels had a very pivotal third down drop that kind of killed the drive for us, and he didn't catch anything. He had 2 targets, 0 catches. Not fantastic. Jalen Samuels' role on this team has to be fading more and more. Just kind of the reality of it, especially with when we drafted McFarland. Kicking-wise, the boy Boswell didn't have to kick any field goals today, all touchdowns. But he hit all of his extra points, so good job, Boswell. Returns were solid, as always, for Ray McLeod on kick returns. Two kick returns for 48 yards. So the ones he could take, he did pretty well, average 24 on the return. Apparently there's only 1 punt from the Ravens today. That seems... Or maybe I guess there's only 1 McLeod could return and went for 5 yards, so not great there, but hey. I didn't really think we did horrible with any special team stuff today. Minus punting, which is not on here. I'll have to check ESPN and see if they give me Jordan Berry's info. Because he absolutely shanked one. That was awful. Just awful. That was in the first half, of course. Very disappointing, to say the least, that drive. I'll go to the box score, see if they can show it to us. Sorry, guys. I had to pause something. Let's see. Show us our punting. So Lamar actually fumbled 3 times, but we got 2 of them, which is beautiful. There's one we were so close to getting, but we knocked it out of bounds in just kind of a typical, like, of course this would happen to us kind of fashion. Robert Spillane, I'm going to get in him, don't worry. He had a freaking day, I just noticed. I didn't even know. Okay, punting. Why isn't it showing me punting? It hates me. There we go. Pretty abysmal. If you guys, he averaged only 42 yards per punt, but of the 6 he had, he did get 2 inside the 20, so not horrible. But let's just say the Ravens got to start at midfield a couple times today due to the Jordan Berry's ineptitude. The fact we can't find a punter is killing me. And there's no one else but Berry. You had to bring Berry back after you cut Colquitt. It's crazy. Although the Ravens, relatively kind of elite punter, only averaged 39.7, but of his 3 punts, 2 of them made it in the 20. So, kicking wise for the Ravens, I guess we'll get into that real fast too since we're here. Justin Tucker, of course, being Justin Tucker, hit his 1 field goal attempt today. That was a 51-yarder, so good for him, and all 3 extra points. Obviously, I don't think any of us thought he was going to do anything bad when it comes to kicking. So now it's getting to I said we got into our offense, so I'll give an offensive player of the game. I feel like we need to do that before I dive into this defense and what they did well. This one's a tougher one to give because, like I said, the offense wasn't necessarily fantastic today, especially in that first half. Obviously, they picked it up a bit in the second half, but stuff like turnovers forced by the defense gave us good field position, so not a ton of yardage from anyone. I'm going to go Juju. He didn't get a touchdown again, but he was super reliable target, caught 7 of the 8 balls that went his way, and, kept the game going for us, converted third downs, etc. Reliable target that Ben could rely on today. So shout out to Juju. Obviously, I already said shout out to Ebron because he had his best. I think this was his best game as a Steeler. And good bounce back from Claypool. Didn't get a ton of yardage, but he caught 5 balls and had a touchdown, and you love to see it. Now defensively, let's get into some of these numbers. The man, the myth, the legend, Robert Spillane had himself a day. Led the team in tackles with 11. The man had 11 tackles, which is crazy. He recovered a fumble. Yeah, which is beautiful. You love to see it. He had 11 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 2 pass defenses, a pick, and a touchdown. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. No sacks, but that's fine. He wasn't really blitzing. He did his job. 11 tackles, TFL, an interception, another deflection, and a TD. That's hard to beat, and it's definitely something probably you wouldn't expect from your best linebacker goes down. Don't worry, his backup will lead the team in tackles and have a pick 6. That usually doesn't happen, so huge shout out to the man there. Stephon Tuitt is on a roll this season. He's picking up where he left off. Last year he was on fire before that pec, I think it was a bicep tear. He was tearing it up. He was going to be an all-pro just with the rest of them, and he finished very strong, ending up with 9 tackles, 3 TFLs, and 2 sacks. So, it's tough to pick a player of the game, guys. Minkah Fitzpatrick had a better game today. That penalty I talked about, that was a bullcrap kind of personal foul on the sidelines. Wasn't his fault, so I'm not going to hold that against him. And he ended up with 7 tackles, a pass deflection, and a forced fumble. His forced fumble was a great play, but unfortunately, like I said, Spillane, his one, I don't even know if it's fully on him. Just the way the ball bounced, it headed towards out of bounds. Spillane almost had it, and it slipped out of his hands and went out of bounds. So we were unable to recover that fumble, but it was a nice play by Minkah regardless, so good job, Minkah. Played a little better today. The corners still left a lot to be desired, like I mentioned. I think Lamar threw for 200-something yards. All the picks that we had were done by the linebackers, and the secondary still got pieced up at times today, so not fantastic. They got to get it going. I don't know what it is, if it's communication, if it's just simply poor play calling, but something's got to give eventually. Joe Hayden had 7 tackles. Usually you don't want to see these corners getting this high tackles because it just meant that like I said, the Ravens' run game was effective, so they're getting to our second level a lot, which will lead to some of these other guys getting high tackle numbers. TJ Watt had a good game. I mean, sort of I guess you would say, almost quiet for TJ Watt standards, but he still had a sack and 5 tackles today. Big old Vince Williams was actually way more quiet than you would think. No TFLs from him today, but still had 5 tackles. And I believe he might have, according to ESPN, he forced a fumble. Let me check. Sorry guys. What did he do? He at least recovered a fumble. So, shout out to Big Vince for that. Let's see who else is in here. Yeah, Isaiah Buggs, who had the fill-in for Cam Hayward, who was in and out of the lineup. Buggs had the fill-in for Alu, who left the game early in the first quarter with a knee injury, didn't return. So let's hope he's okay. Injuries again hurt us. We keep piling them up. We're an injury-prone team, unfortunately, and it just the hits keep on coming. We didn't have Mike Hilton today. Deontay was shaken up today, like I said. Alu didn't return to the game. And Cam Hayward went down 2 different times towards the end of the game and had to limp off the second time right at the end, which is very unfortunate. We have to hope both these dudes are okay. They're a huge part of that front, and it would definitely be very impactful to not have them, especially when we got to play Ezekiel Elliott next week, who I know hasn't been as fantastic, but still, you don't want to be down. I guess no matter who you play, you don't want to be down 2 starting defensive linemen. You never want that, so hopefully they are good to go. That being said, Buggs did decent in his place. I think they did run kind of effectively, even with Hayward and Alu in, but I'm sure having Buggs in instead of Alu, who's been pretty solid in the run stopping, definitely contributed to the way the Ravens ran all over us. But he did finish with 5 tackles, so not bad. Same with Hayward, had 5 tackles. Didn't register any TFLs or sacks, according to Bleacher Report, but I also don't have pressure numbers, so I'm not sure. I'm sure they still force some pressures, these guys, all of them. Bud Dupree, same with TJ. Maybe you'd say quiet for their numbers, but the man still had 4 tackles and a strip sack and forced fumble. So they both did their thing still. Each outside guy got a sack, and then big boy Tuitt in the middle still got 2 sacks. So huge by them. Sutton ended up with 2 picks and a forced fumble. So those are 3 forced fumbles, apparently. Sutton, Dupree, and Fitzpatrick, with, I think, Spillane and Vince recovering 2 of them. The other one might have just gone out of bounds. Yeah, Minka's went out of bounds, like I said. Nelson had 4 tackles, nothing spectacular by him. Like I said, wasn't overly impressed with the secondary again, unfortunately. Alex Highsmith didn't register a lot of stats, but he had 2 tackles and the interception that was huge for us, so shout out to Nelson. Edmonds and Lane both had 2 tackles, nothing much to say there. This one's tough, boys. I have to give co-defensive players of the game. I don't care what you say. Let me know who you think you'd have over the other, but I just can't pick between Stephon Tuitt and Robert Spillane. Okay, if I had to pick, I'd pick Spillane, because he directly put points on the board. The man led the team in tackles as the backup, had a pick and another pass deflection and a TFL. So huge shout out to Robert Spillane. I have to give him a lot of credit for that. Spilly, the underrated kid from Western Michigan, went undrafted, ended up with us. Glad to have him. Great game by the boy. And then Tuitt, of course, like I mentioned, 2 sacks and 3 TFLs. He was the main source of pass rush today. So huge shout out to Stephon Tuitt, my Notre Dame boy, getting it done. Obviously, he's not a boy. I say boy too much. I'm sorry, guys. But you know what I mean. The Irish got it done today. Injuries for both sides. So real quick, I just, prayers out to Ravens offensive tackle Ronnie Stanley, who went down with what appeared to be a serious leg injury. Had to be carted off with a cast on his leg. So hope he's well and he can get back on the field eventually. Other than that, that's kind of the stats for this team. Great team win. The way we fought really impressed me. I was down. Obviously, I was angry plenty of times throughout the day. The way our run defense just failed miserably today was obviously disappointing. We needed to go back to the drawing board. But we made the proper adjustments for the most part in the second half to get a good comeback, to get the win. And anytime you play a team like Baltimore and can leave with a win, it's huge. This is not a surprising turn of events. I think I saw they showed on the prompter or something. It's like 24 of the last 28 Steelers-Raven games have been decided by 1 score or less, which I think as Steelers and even Ravens fans, you would admit these games are pretty much close no matter what the record is of either team. Not a lot of blowouts in this rivalry. So the fact that it came down to the wire again is not surprising for the best rivalry in football. Huge game there. Respect the Ravens. The Ravens, they're a good team. I hate them, obviously, but they're a good team. I respect them. I definitely respect them more than the Browns. They annoy me. I'm sorry, Browns fans, but nah. Ravens fans would probably agree with that, though. So, hey, either way, good day for the Steelers. Really good day for the Steelers because I believe, let me check. The Bengals got a win, but that doesn't really matter because, well, they're the Bengals and they only have like 2 wins now after that win. But the Browns lost today, which means they fell to 5-3, which just gives us even more cushion in our division. We have the win over the Ravens and now have a 2-game advantage over them, a 3-game advantage over the Browns with wins over both teams. So that's under things you love to see for Steelers fans. Let's go, guys. 7-0, hard-fought win. We'll have to lose eventually, and I don't look forward to that. It's going to be very sad. I might be very angry. But, hey, for now, huge win. 3 tough games in a row, guys. I mean, real tough, hard-fought games these last 3 games. Were they? I think they were all on the road. The Browns game might have been at home. Let me see. But it was definitely what appeared to be our toughest stretch of games for the year. Okay, the Browns game was at home, but the Steelers, we played the Titans, the Ravens, and then we played the Cowboys on the road before we get to come back home, I believe, against the Bengals. Yeah. So this is like our toughest stretch on paper for the whole year. And so far, we've won 2 out of the 3, and hopefully we can get it done against a Ravens team that I think everyone would expect us to. I mean, Cowboys team everyone would expect us to beat. Either way, huge win, guys. Super happy. Reverse of the Titans game, so obviously we want to clean that up. If we can play a full, just imagine how good this team would be if we could play a full 4 quarters of football. Every game could be like the Browns game, but we keep struggling for a half, and obviously you don't want to see that. But hard to complain when you're 7-0. Let's just work on the small things we need to work on. Ball security, can't be fumbling. I know Claypool's a rook, but he'll learn. He'll hold on to the ball a little better. That's just kind of basic for everyone. I'm nitpicking now just to give some stuff. Defensive-wise, though, wasn't impressed. Held them to 7 in the second half, so good job. But yeah, the run defense has to be looked at again, and they got to figure out their zone. Because quit putting them in zone if they can't figure out how to not leave guys wide freaking open. Keith Butler, okay? Maybe run more man. Or if you're doing zone, just, make sure you're not getting picked apart in it, because it keeps happening, and you hate to see it. But you know what we love to see? Winning this game, beating the Ratbirds, being 7-0. Let's go, baby. They can't say we haven't beaten anyone anymore. We've beaten 3 teams in a row who are pretty well respected in the league. So obviously the Browns aren't, but they're 5-3. That's still a good record. And obviously there's no denying the Ravens and Titans are pretty solid teams. So once again, sorry rambling. Click over here for my playlist of other Steelers videos. I think I'm going to do, sorry guys, I have to think about what I'm putting up there. I usually put other post games. Yeah, I'll put up here is my other post game reaction so you can see what I thought about all the other Steelers wins so far because we're 7-0. Right here is where you can subscribe, please. It'd mean a lot. I'm at 132. I'd love if I could find a way to hit 140 by the end of the year. It would mean a lot to me, so I appreciate it if you subscribe or tell any of your friends to subscribe as well. And over here is just a random video of mine YouTube decided to recommend for you. Thank you so much for watching. This is Cam Preston signing out. Go Steelers. Stairway to 7, baby.